Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies filed 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. 100% of these cases were presented on "It's the machines," or "The machines changed the votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of proof, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pull the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time, funds, and efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archive secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.
Hey guys, welcome to the program. We're going to kind of go back in time. And we're going to look at the pandemic's lasting effects. One of the things I am a very big supporter of is to always stay in a state of digging for the truth, investigating the truth, and looking for the truth yourself. The reason I'm such a big supporter of this, and I need you to understand this, part of the formula of why they're able to do what they do to us is because they know in order for the system to survive, it needs you to believe their word, their messaging, and influencers rather than your own eyes and common sense. They depend on you not digging for the truth. Arizona audit's a prime example. You can literally have 1,500 people working in an audit, all 1,500 people telling you it wasn't the right paper. Some that were supposed to be mail-in ballots weren't mail-in ballots. I mean, just all this stuff. But yet the system wants you to go somewhere else and believe it was China or Venezuela or all the other things. That's how all of this works. If anything I have learned in this process that we've all been through in 2020, I'm going to repeat it again. In order for the system to survive, it needs you to believe their word, their messaging, and influencers rather than your own eyes and common sense. They depend on you not digging for the truth. Think about lawmakers. AOC is probably a prime example, or Ilhan Omar, somebody that comes in from nowhere, and in a few years is worth 30, 40, 50 million bucks. If somebody was trying to take the gravy train away from you, would you try to fight to keep it going because you want to stay on that gravy train? Of course you would. That's how every bit of this works. We're the expendables in this, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. What I'm asking you to do, folks, it's really very simple. Do your own research. It's why that works. I'm asking you to go to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. It's that simple, but they want you to believe their version of what's going on, because if you don't look, you don't know. And as long as you don't know how they do it to you, you can't defend against it. That's the whole formula right there, folks. Something's coming with our money and our financial systems and everything else. And now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. Please go to jovanlovesgold.com with my fine partners at Goldco. Feed your brain, get the information, and then decide what's best for you. I know this is stressful. Lord knows I know this is stressful. I'm all about solutions. You got a short time left. I want you to look at the screen. I want you to kind of pay attention. Don't be like me. And when I say don't be like me, I've told you this. I've told you many times. And if you're new to my program, I'd like to just tell you what you might not have heard, that my own, what I went through on my own. I and my father died 2 Thanksgivings ago. In his particular military career, he got blown out in his knees. And so he lived his entire life with surgeries, pain, etc. At the end of the day, even though the clot shot affected him, caused a stroke, what really got him was his damn liver and kidneys from eating acetaminophen nonstop. I could have made a difference in his life so much earlier if I'd have done my homework, if I wasn't bigoted in my view. Where was I bigoted in my view? I'd always heard that CBD could make a difference. I never paid attention. You know why I never paid attention? Because drugs just weren't for me. Weren't. My drug of choice was just working my ass off, or sex, 2 great drugs of choice. So it was never alcohol or any drugs. I've never tried cocaine, any of that stuff. I even had a woman in my life that was a lot of fun. But why I had to get rid of it is because I found out she, at the time when marijuana was still illegal, carrying it around in our purse. And I said, Chad, if we ever get pulled over, the freaking story is going to become about me, not about your carrying this stuff. And she couldn't stop it. We had to go our separate ways. That knowledge, and by the way, I don't begrudge any of you. I don't begrudge any of you at all doing any kind of self-medicating, soothing, pain relief with Marijuana. Don't care. Because I've learned over time I was missing something. I could have saved my father so much pain. I could have saved myself so much pain. But I was so short-sighted. Because my issues with drug use kept me from understanding the truth, right? Kept me from understanding the truth about CBD. And I blew it. So I'm telling you, don't be like me, because now I know CBD and my own bigoted judgment was wrong. So here's what I've got for you. I want to let you know what I've got for you is the holidays are hectic. I want you to remember here, the promo code's Rumble this time, not Jovan, Rumble. Okay. The holidays are hectic enough. All the family drama, hell, everything that goes on in the news. Then you combine that with last minute shopping, late nights that can make that damn holiday stuff feel like a freaking endurance test. It doesn't need to be. That's why I'm sharing the ultimate holiday survival plan, right? Why don't you consider some CBD from CB Distillery? Seriously, folks, seriously. Everything you need for the holidays here. Mom's, stocking. She could use some CBD for better sleep. Maybe gift your fitness friends, right? Scan the code. Maybe give it to those of you that you work out with or whatever. The pain relief stick. It's the bomb. It is a magical product. Ask people in chat. Don't forget, maybe a little bit for yourself, gummies or whatever. CB Distillery product is made with premium quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, no artificial anything. And with over 2 million customers and 100% money-back guarantee, it's the gift you can feel good about giving. So this year, give yourself and everyone on your list the gift of better sleep, less stress, and pain relief from CBD with CBD from CB Distillery. And here you go, the promo code. Remember, the promo code changed a little bit different than you're used to because this is a special promotion. It's Rumble, not my name, it's Rumble. Save 25% on your entire purchase. Visit cbdistillery.com, enter promo code Rumble. That's 25% off your whole order. cbdistillery.com, promo code Rumble. It may or may not have some specific products for you in your state. Might be limited, but go check it out. I didn't do my homework because I was judgmental, and that's where I had to cut the crap, right? I had to cut the crap myself. Anyway, look, we're going to go back, look back in time, and I'm going to show you what we really lost. What we really got clobbered on because of that pandemic. Share this program right now. We'll get started right after this.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, we're going to go back in time to the pandemic. We're going to look backwards and look at the data, the actual data, and see where we as a nation, the whole world did this, but where we as a nation paid dearly, right? Dearly on it. The suppression's here. I'll give you an example. If you've been on with our program for a long time, we've had a long time follower from Australia. His name is Zodman here. You see this here from Deborah says, I miss Zodman here. In case you haven't realized, let me give you an example. Zod lives in Australia, where the pandemic rules. Right? Killed that country because the very reason Zod is not here in our program like he is every day for years from down under is because Australia required a new rule that if you want to use the internet, you have to register for a real ID verification in Australia, so you're in system even more in order to be able to use the internet. Which basically means it goes further than tracking, looking at your trends. It means everything you do on the internet is tied to you and your version of the Social Security, your birth date, your name, and your address. That just happened in Australia. Zod said, screw you for the system. He says, I'm not going to fall victim. And it means he can't use the internet. It means he can't even access it, so he can't join us anymore. I want you to think about that. That's the system we live in. That's what's going on with the system right now. It is, and I tell you, I keep on saying this, and I just hope you get it. You need to understand the system needs you to believe their version of everything. Because, see, the only way they survive is if you believe their word, their messaging, their influencers, rather than your own eyes and common sense. They depend on you not digging for the truth. And behind the system, these system players, these influencers, the ratio I found, it's about 10-1. For every person that speaks the truth, the system raises up and amplifies 10 people or bogus things to counterbalance the truth. It happened right here in the United States. It's why you can learn things like in Maricopa in the audit, for some reason, on election day. Unlike the 27 days leading in, every batch and how many ballots were in the batch were tracked and signed for, 5, 6 signatures the whole way till you get election day. And that day, it's just like everybody forgot. Nobody filled in the blanks. Why? Because they made them up. Now, I can show you that. I can show you that in absolute empirical truth, and you can see it. I can show you the documents. I can show you the numbers. But the system is going to tell you, oh, there was nothing really found in the audit. There was nothing useful. There was nothing there to use. Many times you should use that statement that somebody says, oh, there was nothing there useful or whatever, when you know, by the way, each of those is a crime with people's names associated to it. You actually know who did it. But where do they want you to look? Oh, it's Venezuela, it's China. That's how every bit of this works. What I'm doing in this episode, and you can comment as you go along, I'm going to ask you the first question because I'm looking at the pandemic's lasting effects. Other than not trusting the system, that's not what I'm looking for. What are the lasting effects? Most people quantify it economically. What were the system's lasting effects on your family? Right? What were the lasting effects on your family? Did it change your bills? Evidently, there's a lot of division. Absolutely, there's a lot of divisions. Others are saying different opinions. A lot of fear. We don't speak to each other, right? How many family and friends did you lose? How many neighbors did you lose? How many longtime acquaintances did you lose? Because see, what happened is they folded the pandemic together with the election, together with Trump, together with the vax, together with the visual cue, are you complying? Remember, in Nazi Germany, if you were a Jew, you had to identify it on your business, and you had to identify it on your person wearing the yellow star. The government said it was to protect you. What happened? You're walking around with that yellow star, and the public, right? The public were able to attack Jews. The Jewish businesses were identified. Their version of BLM at the time went and destroyed their businesses. Now, was that little yellow star to protect people? No. Same as the mask. And so you know that all of you have been targeted by this system. Let me give you a few things. With the only difference basically being 5 years, the only difference over that 5 years, I'll give you a few economic markers because most people measure it in their life when you sit down to pay the bills or whatever. Did you know since that time, your car insurance in the United States of America has gone up 36%. Have traffic accidents increased? No. Have the type of accidents that might happen with a vehicle in your life increase? No. So why did your car insurance go up 36% and stay there? By the way, I should let you know that when I give you this 36% number, do you understand that's the low average? Most people's auto insurance from 2019 has doubled. But can you go back in time and find that automobile wrecks doubled? No. Insurance claims to damages to car, hailstorms or whatever, doubled? No. So what is it? Well, remember, they forced the nation to, you have to take this insurance policy. Don't worry, we're not going to replace. Do you get it? Car insurance companies also have health insurance. And this is how everything's connected. And it's why I tell you, if we don't fix these elections, because that's the only thing that fixes it, everything else is BS except that ballot being counted properly exactly the way you voted it. So is there any plausible reason that any of this went up 50%? Yeah, there was a fluctuation in used car prices because there were no new cars being made. So used car prices went up 20, 25%. Remember that? I always look for farm trucks and old trucks, right? All the time. And something you could have very easily, let's say a diesel farm truck, a Ford truck, that you could have bought for 10 grand all damn day long, went up to 20. Some of y'all seen that? Did you notice that during that time? Yeah, it's a bundled con. Now that particular one, and yes, trucks are at a premium. Why are trucks at a premium? Look at it. And so you weren't buying new cars, so you were buying used cars, and used cars went through the roof. Now you're hearing, here's a little bit of story. We're going to do a detailed report on how many of you, put it in chat, how many of you have ever ordered your groceries to be delivered at home or to be picked up at curbside? How many of you have used that feature? Any of you? Right? Any of you? How many of you have used a feature where you either had like Instacart deliver your stuff to home, okay? Or you've had pickup, which the pandemic kind of changed a lot of people, right? That you could pick it up at the location. You want to know something interesting? It's a story that's breaking right now. They are now finding out through an investigation that, and a lot of you are saying yes, maybe an equal amount of you are saying no. Guess what you're going to be learning over these next few days? And it should be a big deal. But Instacart dynamically priced your groceries based on where you live, what income bracket you were on. Yeah, I think they tested, like 50 different items, and 50 different items, all basically ordered at the same time by different people. There were 36 different prices across it. Yeah, the system, if you're more stable, if you have a better credit rating or whatever, they're adjusting your prices up. Your prices got adjusted based on your profile. Dynamic pricing is what it's called. All of these are the effects of what happened to our system because we got the pandemic. Because they did it. Have you noticed that your utilities have gone through the roof? Nothing has changed in labor cost. Well, I guess some things have changed. So many people aren't working. So many people were being fed by the tit not to work in some small towns, some small areas. Being in a mountain town, did you know you can't find labor? You can't find labor for 20, 25 bucks an hour because the government's paying them more than that to sit there. The very interesting thing about raising rates in like utilities is once they raise it, it doesn't go backwards. It does not go backwards. I want you to look at a few things I'm going to show you to understand what happened here. Now, in this particular chart, this is direct result pre-post pandemic. That's what we're talking about. I'm only doing this as a data exercise. I'm only doing this as a data exercise. Somebody saying their 807 credit score went to 750. Have you even checked that on yourself? More people than ever are pinging your credit score. Number one, did you know you can have those removed? And you should. They're trying to check who has what so they can adjust. And they're doing it. But each time they ping your credit file, they're driving your FICO score down because the system thinks you're applying for credit. And it looks like you're applying for credit all over the place. No, you're not. But see, the system drags it down on you. When they drag down your credit score, you pay more for everything. I watched somebody do this. I watched somebody that got caught in a horrible divorce. Things that the wife were left with, she didn't bother paying. In a quote for insurance for a home, just a small home, not anything significant. When the quote should have been about $1,700 a year, based on the credit score alone, came back at $9,800 a year. And that was the only difference. And so what we're doing here is we're looking at it. So I want you to look at this. What's in gold on my screen is what you were paying. From left to right, it's rent, groceries, eating out, transportation, utilities, childcare, and just miscellaneous stuff in your life. From what it was, looking at it over the pandemic time to now, the blue is how much more you're paying. There it is. I'd say it's in black and white, but it's in gold and blue. That's how much more you're paying. Why is it happening? What's going on? It's because the system, remember, they don't want you to look too hard. Oh, we're protecting you. You've got a distance. We now know all of that is BS. We now know every bit of that is BS. But we, as commoners, in what is more than a feudal system, pay for it. This is why you've got to understand. You can love somebody. Oh, they're just truthful, they're great, they're nice, they're smart, or whatever. But for everyone that spits truth, there's 10 people or more, depending on who the person is, that are system-driven and paid to counterbalance it. Because the biggest secret of all is, in order for the system to survive, not you, they don't give a shit about you. Why don't they give a crap about you going bankrupt? Because they're going to get everything you own. And then going forward, you're going to pay more for everything in your life. They win either way. The system banks on. The only way it survives is it needs you to believe their word, their messaging and influencers, rather than your own eyes and common sense. They depend upon you not digging for the truth. That's the racket. That's how it works. It's all manipulation over and over and over and over again. Everything in your life has been hammered by this. Childcare. Any of you have children and or grandchildren that are in the daycare system? That because both parents have to work? Did that parent really have any more children during this pandemic time? But daycare went up. Daycare on average right now is $1,100 a month. $1,100 a month. This is the cause and effect of not getting the ballots right, or letting a unchecked system wreak this havoc on you. And again, that's why I go back. They need you buying into the bullshit, because their system wins more. They win all the time. They win more and more and more. Their system wins. Housing alone, on the low end, are over 30% more. And once they go up, they really don't fall. Do you know why they don't fall? Do you understand why housing predominantly doesn't fall? You have to understand, if that happens and housing prices go up, then the taxing authority for your property taxes or other, they're able to get more money out of you. They're not going to let go of that money. It's just like the gas rig. Gas did go down, by the way. Gas has gone down. Gas has gone down since the pandemic. But, you know, if you were to go back to the Bush administration, my family being involved in farming and ranching as myself, you were buying diesel at that time for about 99 cents to about $1.06 a gallon, diesel. But the Bush-Obama combo did a move, right? Second Bush did a move to tax diesel based on the new green agenda, their version of it. And so diesel went up to almost that $4 mark. Diesel is the cheapest fuel to produce. It has the least amount of processing in it. It has the least amount of processing in it, hands down. And that difference in it is all taxes and punitive things. Why? Because not only did it hurt the farmer, you understand how it hammered every single product in our country, all delivery systems, all transportation systems. Was it real? No. They used the excuse of, we've got to protect you and the environment, which is their messaging, so they could drive that price up, and they get their money one way or another, and they don't care if those companies go down, because that's not their concern. Their concern is, what can they squeeze out of that tax base as they do it. Now, this is why I look at things like this, because sometimes people don't go back and do the math. People forget late Bush era, early Obama era, what diesel was. Right? Do you know how much more you pay for eating out? I know there's a joke there. But do you know how much more you pay for just going out to eat across the board? Right now, just in pandemic terms, pre and post, That's all I'm covering. Understand, I am covering pre and post. So I'm just giving you the actual numbers. And so when I ask you, do you know how much more you're paying for eating out? I'm not asking who. I'm asking, do you understand what the system did to you? That one category is up 49%. Just that one category. Oh, by the way, it's not only up 49%, serving sizes, and if you look at burgers, they'll just be shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. They put less into it. Get it? They put less into it. When you were buying your kids combo meals, which used to be $10, are now $15. And they will never drop. They'll never drop. That's one of the things you fight in a system, and the reason they sell their stories and don't want you to dig is because that's how they continue so much money in the system going around. They've got to keep the system going. And this is where we're all slaves. We pay for this. Only one thing fixes it. It's the ballot. And that's why you experience this every day, that the system must counterbalance the truth with their own. Because if you dig and do your own digging, you're able clearly to see the racket of what goes on. It's because, well, the answer's in the definition, and the answer is in the word, the system, the system, the system. Maybe now you're realizing not only are we slaves, we're just battery units. That's it. We are just battery units, earning units, living, breathing ATMs to the system. And the system has to do that and keep this money addiction going, period. Your grocery bill minimum for the same items is 32% higher. Just in your groceries, 32% higher. Across the board, it doesn't matter what it is, you're 25% higher whether you like it or not. 25%. Right? But do you understand the shift? And you're right, hell, ancient slaves only had to pay 20%. Do you understand this shift? What is this shift about? What is the shift about? Is it really about 100% getting more money out of the system? Is that what it's about? Is it about just sucking a little bit more money out of you every day? Actually, what it is about is consolidation. I use the example, because I write about this. And how long have I been telling you now? Get your crap together when it comes to growing your own food and understanding how to sustain yourself. You've got to get your crap together. And we are in a country that technically there's about 30,000 vegetables out there. Did you know that? But we live trapped in a system that caters to 9. Now, why do they cater to 9? When it comes just to our food crops, why do they cater to those 9? Here's why it happened. It's not that the vegetables went away, although we're losing more seed varieties than ever. Here's the rig. Here's exactly what happened. Big companies made a machine. Let's just take corn. They made a machine. Their machine was predominantly determined on specific corn sets, about a limited 3 variety instead of hundreds. Because you understand, if you understand the world of like heirloom vegetables, the healthier corns are a smaller, right, ear. The more heirloom corns might have 1 or 2 ears per stalk, but much more nutritional value. They wanted the ones that worked on a larger set and more ears per corn. Now, why does this matter? Well, if your machine is designed, just think of a normal ear of corn. If your machine is designed to pick that ear of corn and it works with it, if they tried to modify that machine so it could work with the lesser, more healthier corns, they would have to modify the machine to catch the smaller ears, which they do not do, which means their machinery would cost a little bit more, which they don't want to do. But then it goes even to more nefarious things. Since the machines work on specific corns, they work in lockstep with the GMO stuff, that big companies own the seeds for that corn. See how it works? In fact, what people don't know, even just that one particular rig, which has been going on for a long time, and I'm explaining how it's now being consolidated. Corn, when you see the little tinsels, the little hairs poking out the corn, do you understand what that is? There is one lifeline, one strand, right, of that silk goes to one single kernel. That's what feeds it, right? Now, the way corn populates is breezes and winds. Did you know that in that corn silk, that if you were 3 farms down and you were trying to grow nice protected crops of your own, and the way these corn silks flop in the wind, right? You can shake your corn and pollinate them. Most people don't know that. Well, those pollinations drift over to other fields, and they will cross-pollinate with corn. Now, this is how you can take a natural corn and all of a sudden you've got GMO in your natural corn. But do you understand that's not the problem? They've designed it so sophisticated on a legal basis that if they come down and do an inspection at government authority, do an inspection at your farm, and they find in your crop that GMO, they get to claim you stole the seed. You weren't buying the licensed seed. And what happens to you, the farmer? They sue you to oblivion, put you in bankruptcy, and take your farm. And you had nothing to do it. It was Mother Nature. That's how every bit of this consolidation works. So what's going on in our world, in our systems, behind the scenes is a massive consolidation of power. Why do you think they butchered, right, ostriches in Canada? Because the people that were raising the ostriches for meat and doing it right were selling to too many people. So then they come in and expect, and well, you've got bird flu, which there never really was a positive test. And by the way, those tests fail 80% of the time. But what did it give the government an excuse to do? Go in and slaughter every one of those ostriches, claiming they were infecting bird populations. What did it do? it put that rancher of that product, ostriches, out of business. Do you understand part of the consolidation that went on during the pandemic was in the meatpacking industry? So what you're seeing behind the scenes as you connect these dots, quit thinking of it as it's only the way that they rigged the election. It's much more than that. It is the way that it happened to work out to help consolidate the power in our food system for a few players. Now, what are some of the cause and effects that we have seen that has lasted over? That's the whole point of my discussion of this topic. That's what I'm doing. I am discussing. If we go back and look in time, and we just look for the things that changed permanently, what are we still stuck with? That's why I've told you this is always a war. And I cannot stress more. Some of you are recognizing what's going on. And I tap dance in some areas a little bit, because I'm still trying to assess the cause and effect of calling out certain perpetrators for certain things. But again, in order for the system to survive, it needs you to believe their word, their messaging, their influencers, rather than your own eyes and common sense. They depend on you not digging to the truth. It's why so many people, when we share you actual stats, irrefutable, prosecutable evidence, verified now by third parties, you share those facts, people block you. They do that because they cannot afford you having other people to get the proof. There are liars everywhere. It is so freaking ridiculous how much of this goes on. But let's look at the 5 top things that changed as a result of the pandemic, okay? But never went backwards. Number 1, the one thing that went up, right, was baseline anxiety, depression, and stress. Remember, I told you the system needs chaos. They need people freaking out. They need people depressed. It's kind of why I balance in my program. You know, I can cover pretty serious stuff like this, but I'll back off at times. We'll do some fun history. We'll do some laughing at freaking idiots, right? Weird stuff. Because I'm working to try to, through my programming, manage your mental health. Satan feeds on stress, you're right. And if I told you everything I know all at one time, chances are you're going to end up lying on your couch, sucking your thumb, thinking the world's going to end. That's the cause and effect. So even I have to do a very careful balancing act in what I do. In the United States and globally, since the pandemic, depression cases jumped 25%. Not only did it jump, what had happened was more anxiety, more depression, more PTSD systems, more sleep problems, and more burnout. It's a very subtle change. But let's look at this consolidation effect we've all gone through. What is the subtle change? Well, as a whole, pre that, if you were to poll the nation, people would have said they're mostly fine. They're mostly fine. That sentiment in polling, real polling, detailed research, has changed from, see if this happened in you, you went from mostly fine to now a bit or almost always on edge. Put it in chat. Did that happen to you? Did you go from, well, mostly fine? United States is kicking ass. By the way, God bless every one of you that take the time to repost this stream. You understand how critical that is? That is lifting a finger to do something when you repost this and you share it. But how many of you went from, well, things are mostly fine, Trump pre-pandemic, to, well, I'm on edge, or I'm almost all the time on edge? How many of you, how many people in your family made that one thought move? Some of you, like Slavich is saying, I went from, what did it say? I went from great to pissed off. That's the whole point. That's why you'll beat your head knowing what happened in 2020 with the elections, and you see the facts for yourself. But what does the system promote? People that want to sell you bullshit theories of what happened that just aren't true. The system gets rewarded in that. Let me give you a reward that just this stress and anxiety did, and that little bitty change from mostly fine or great to, well, I'm a little bit on edge or I'm always on edge. The number one group that transformed the most because of the pandemic was young people. Remember, the system needs and trains young people to believe totally different things than you know is true. You see on video somebody rerunning the ballots in Georgia over and over and over, laughing about it, talking on video, released recordings, Ruby. But where did you see on the other end? She got, what, the Presidential Medal of Honor or Freedom or something like that? That is to counterbalance it. That's the counterbalance. No, she was persecuted. She sued and won. And hell, the president even gave her a medal for her fearlessness dealing with that. No, it's all a con. It's 100% a con. If you were to look at mental health evaluations, let's just take the UK, because the UK had a further compounding one. Remember, they were earlier on the edge of this mass illegal immigration. In the UK, loneliness checks was about 6%. To this day, it's 30%. And it's not only about the systems, it's about getting killed in the street or raped in the streets. And by the way, if you were in the UK and you said, damn it, look at all these illegal raping kids, and you posted it on social media, you're going to prison. You're going to prison. Think about what they reward versus what they punish. Muslims in the street in the UK follow schoolgirls home. 6 or 7 guys take a precious 12-year-old, gang rip her apart where she needs surgery. They get a slap on the hand. The parents calling out the system for allowing illegals to do this and letting them get off got sentenced to 2 years in jail for talking about it. In Ireland, the system, a school teacher that says, I will not comply. I am not going to call a student by their pronouns. There are only two genders. When I'm responsible for teaching children, I am not going to teach this gender bullshit, which is not the science. Well, they locked them up. I think the number was for 396 days. Public outcry, okay, got him released from prison. Got him back in his job. They had to reinstate him. He went back into the school. They tried to force him again to do it. He says, I'm not doing it. What now? That person that served 396 whatever days in prison for not doing it, once they let him out, they put him back into the system. He says, I'm still not doing it. They just handed down to him in Ireland a life sentence. He is serving life in prison for not acknowledging multi-genders. I just want you to think about that. Because you see this going on. People even, because again, it all goes down to elections. Yeah, he's life in prison for not acknowledging multi-genders as a teacher. Life in prison. Even now, you probably recognize you have the physical proof in front of you. They'll amplify the people that go along with the plan. They will reward them well, just like Ruby in Georgia. They reward them. They put them everywhere. They put them on the media. Same thing happens in the conservative racket because it's a racket. They amplify people that will go along with the system to move the people, but the people with the truth, they'll penalize. It's why you can see so many people all over the place spouting bullshit about our elections and how it's really done. This is why sometimes you have to go back and you have to audit the system. That's all I'm doing. I'm just giving you the facts. Now, when I told you that stress and depression and PTSD and everything went up, what was the secondary effect of that? There were a few secondary effects. Do you know what can you guess? Put it in chat. So if we now know that stress, PTSD, and depression went through the roof, what went up with it? And still hasn't gone down. What went up with it? Clinical analysis, right? Or what's the word I'm looking for? Clinical definitions, prescriptions. Here's what it is. Of being now clinically depressed, etc., went through the roof. What moved with it? Suicide, that's one. What else went with it? Can you guess what went with it? There you go. The use of pills. Suicide went up. Medical and use of pills went up, which means their profits went up. The single strongest category that went up was young adults, adolescents, then young adults. Young adults is a higher, age bracket. Adolescents and young adults and women went up. Women. The number of prescriptions for depression, anxiety, etc., went up 36.9%. Did you also know a study that they're not letting you see? That every single school shooter, I think since the 80s on, every single one of them were on some kind of prescribed medication for depression or stress. If you look at the cause and effect, if you read the fine print, it basically says taking these can make you have suicidal ideation and become dangerous. Well, how are people deciding to check out? They're going to take other people with them. The system, the prescription system benefited, went through the roof. And in the categories of our young, part of the plan went up over 30%. If you look at 2016, we just go back 3 more years. From 2016 to 2 years into the Biden administration, in 12 to 15-year-olds, antidepressant prescriptions increased 66%. And you don't go off those. And if you've been on them for a long time, it's impossible to go off, right? I want you to think about that. Specialized meds for anti-anxiety and sedative medications, again, astronomically through the roof. That's the side effect they wanted. That's the side effect they wanted. Now they've got you on another payment plan. What's one of the other cause and effects if we look back? How about over 500,000 independently owned businesses, mom and pops, closing their doors permanently? Closing their doors permanently. What happened? Ready? So businesses closed, depression went up, you get more people on scripts, and because businesses closed, more people had to file for government assistance, PPP loans, EIDL, then grants, and then unemployment went through the roof. More people had to get on the system, which is what the system wants. You get more people being dependent upon the system, and that gives their person the peace. They've anxiety's gone through the roof, depression's gone through the roof, everything's crumbled around. They give the money, the government starts coming in, they're giving you money, you feel a little bit better. Are you ever going to vote for it to go away? No, you're not going to vote against your own interest, even if you're a conservative. Do you see how all of this connects? Do you see how every bit of this connects? Our children, 5 years later, predominantly have lost their ability to cope. When you lost your ability to cope, part of what goes with your ability to cope is you can't keep a stable job. You can't keep a stable job. If you can't keep a stable job, where do you end up? Needing the system. And when you need the system, and the system raises all this money and gives it to you to take care of you, are you ever going to vote against the system? Are you going to vote against your own interest? You're not. You're not going to vote against your own interest. It accelerated. Yeah, it's mass formation. Who put that? WCU64, mass formation psychosis. There you go. It is Misery Loves Company. It cratered the commercial real estate market, places where you work and stuff, and had people working remotely. And now with people working remotely, they think going to a job is punishment. Think about that one. You get people on the system. You get them addicted to pharmacology. You start paying them not to work. People who had a work ethic and could continue to work and continue to cope, well, you got to do it remotely. And then when the companies should have come back online, right? Then you thought the company was punishing you. And you too became addicted to the system. And now having to go back to the office is cruel and unusual punishment. And companies are scammed. Now, when I tell you, and I'll give you an example, and I'll use the example of the elections. In order for the system to survive, it needs you to believe their word, their messaging, their influencers, rather than your own eyes, rather than common sense. They depend upon you not digging for the truth. Well, what was the cause and effect of all of that? If more than ever, the time in history when we have knowledge at our fingertips and we should be able to learn, what happened? Screen time that people spend on social media went through the roof. Social media use went through the roof. What happened is it pushed you more to social media. And what do you see in social media? They rise up people and basically reward the ones that will sell the system. And that's why I tell you, for every one person doing truth, the number is at least 10 people are assigned to that person. We track these patterns all the time. Remember the other day when I told you when I started releasing facts about the full forensic audit in Arizona? I told you this in advance. I said, if you were part of my locals, I told you, I'm going to post this. Now you watch who pushes back. And what happened? That very next day, you watched the same bullshit account and people start attacking. I showed you the design. In doing that, which I did very specifically, I showed you who you can't trust. And they all activated. Boom. They all activated. See, all of this empirical data is around you. Everything that I share with you has intentional learning behind it. It's why, people say, well, if you just did a 15-minute show, it'd be better. Or if you just could do it in 2 minutes. I'm not here to do that. You can't learn it in 2 minutes. I'm not going to play into the system. I'm going to give you the real numbers, how it really works. Because you can't push back on it if you don't understand how they do it to you. All of this, and as soon as we started giving you the independent facts, and I told you, here it goes, and I told you we were in the discussion, I said, well, now watch, bang. And then when you saw each people pushing back, you saw they all did it within about the same 30-minute or 1 hour time span. Do you think that's organic? Not at all. It is exactly what the system planned. What else is the cause and effect? Of the pandemic. What else is cause and effect? People started using more and more drugs more often. Self-medication. I use truth as a self-medication so I can just be okay with myself. You know, I have to balance, for me, who am I willing to piss off? It's already cost me damn near 100 million in company values easily, just for standing up against it. You never see that. That's all behind the scenes, but that's how much we got punished. Meaning everybody who worked with me on things, that's the punishment of the system. And so when I came out initially, that's how they punished it. But now we're on the 5-year back end, right? The system has hope you've moved on. But this is how the cause and effect trickles down. Alcohol sales during the pandemic. Oh, remember that liquor stores were deemed critical infrastructure that could stay open? Do you remember that? Your job couldn't stay open. Your job couldn't stay open. But liquor stores were stay open. It's because alcohol sales went up 54%. And not only did sales go up 54%, most people who drink to stabilize, the volume of their drinking went up 100%. If they can get you drinking more and you can increase your volume, what happens? They get you more addicted in the system. Chances are they're going to turn you into an addict. Binge drinking, its highest level ever. Alcohol-related liver disease, higher than it's ever been. You get that, they got to put you in more medicine, you got to be in the system, they rewarded the healthcare system, or you die, or you kill yourself, or you have a car wreck and kill yourself and others. They don't care. Also, what happened in it? Your routine collapsed. Your rhythm of living life collapsed. Isn't it all about disrupting the rhythm? They couldn't have you thriving in a first-term Trump presidency and getting in the rhythm of succeeding. So you think it was just the pandemic bullshit? No, it was everything. It destroyed everything. 100,000 more people per year died of fentanyl than before. A drug that comes across the border with the illegal mules. Everything went through the roof. Synthetic pills, cocaine, heroin, meth, everything went through there. And what happened? Overdoses shot through the roof. And the drug use hasn't really started to decline. Who got hit the most? Well, you know that when it came to the pandemic, and folks, that's what we're doing. We're going backwards in time. You need to understand what I'm doing. All I'm doing is giving you the numbers going backwards in time regarding the pandemic's lasting effects. That's all I'm doing. I'm just giving you the numbers. Who got hit the hardest? People with existing mental health issues and people with existing medical issues, which are the people that are the most susceptible, but they're also the people that cost the system the most money. And so by possibly shots, they weeded out people before they got into the healthcare system, so the healthcare system didn't have to do it. There's a girl in Canada going on right now that had a change in her metabolic processing structure. And so she ballooned a couple 100 pounds. This is in Canada's healthcare system. As I understand it, she wants to get some of the help, maybe in the form of a gastric bypass, which works. They used to go for the gastric bypass. It was pretty standard procedure. Okay, you're unable to control this. You got mental health issues to go with it. You've ballooned up. So we'll do a gastric bypass to help you with your health problem. What has Canada started doing to those people? Canada has denied that she can get service for it in their healthcare system, but they recommended a new alternative to lose that weight. Do you know what that new alternative that Canada has started recommending? They now are recommending to her, have you thought about assisted suicide? Instead of spending the money to fix the problem, they'll get the same amount of money, because they do get that too, if you'll kill yourself. And so they're going to get paid either way. But now they're recommending you should probably consider assisted suicide. That's their healthcare alternative right now. Let's just get you out of the system. Vaping went through the roof. Alcohol use went through the roof. Drugs exception, higher mental health issues, all of it went through the roof. People saying I drink, every now and then is now almost daily, right? Frequently. And basically, all of this is being used, and they're saying I need it to sleep, I need it to numb out, or I'm too have too much anxiety. The system will reward you for avoiding your feelings. Because if you're avoiding your feelings, you know what you're not doing? You're not digging for the truth. You don't want to dig into the truth because it depresses you. The system wants you to believe they're fixing things like the election because you need to be placated. They'll give you a simple answer. We'll do it. It was China, it was Venezuela, and it was Pee Wee Herman. And this is it. Okay, well, they got it covered. They don't want you digging for the truth. And digging for the truth, they lose. Have you ever thought about these things? Have any of you thought about these things? American productivity inside companies that manage to get things done is at one of its largest declines ever. Not the big corporations who benefited, but the average shops, workers, machine shops, etc., all went down. Most people, when they spent that time at home during the pandemic, their family dynamics broke, their routines to do exercise or maybe go out and work broke, their diets broke. You started eating a lot more shit to self-medicate, and your sleep patterns broke. Net effect? You're structured, cratered. When you're structured, cratered, you begin to have mental health issues. All of this, as a direct result of what happened to us as a world and as a nation, of the lasting effects. And none of it's gone backwards. And to make sure you feel the effects every day, prices have stayed where they are. Which is the every day, every time you pay your bills, every time you write a check, every time you shop, you look at that receipt and you go, shit, I used to pay this for it. How many of you have walked into the store and looked at a product on the shelf that you would normally buy, and you now say to yourself, shit, I remember when? Do any of you do it? Just be honest. Have you gone through that in your life where you walk in the store and you're kind of talking like an old timer back in Western days? Well, hell, I remember when it was this. Every single time. Every single time. And you've got to understand that is part of what they want to happen. They need you looking at that receipt every time going, holy shit. Yeah, we're becoming our grandparents today. Look at this shit they're doing to us. Every single time. This is how this structure reinforces itself. This is why they give the system so many squirrels to chase. This is why they feed you heroes that are supposedly fixing this and doing this, when if you just investigated, you would know it's total bullshit. Because it is the plan that the system survives. They need you to believe their words, their messaging, their chosen influencers, rather than your own eyes and common sense. And they depend on you not digging for the truth. The net effect, more people on the government tit, your costs going through the roof, nothing getting solved, nothing getting fixed. The end result, you know what the end result is? What's the end result? What's the end result? Do you know what it really is? The net effect of all of this. What is the end result gain? Your freedoms get limited, but there's another end result. There's another end result. Something they want. They need something. It's the most important something they need. We understand you're losing your face. We understand you're on more medications. We understand prices are out of control and all this. What's the one thing they need? You to say, government, please step in and help me. They demand we get to a point where you say you are worn out too much, you are fatigued, you are poisoned, you have lethargy, your life's falling apart, till frankly, they say, damn it, government, do something. And then when it gets to that point and you see their message because you gave up, you will accept their messaging as the solution to get it fixed. That's why we're all on a grindstone. That's why we're generations going through this, seeing this in real time for the very first time in history. They bank on you not knowing what's real, throwing up your hands and just wanting somebody else other than you to fix it. And that's how this entire racket works. And that's why I thought it was a really good time just to go back so you understand cause and effect in every bit of this. Because it needs chaos, it needs controversy, and it needs you dependent. See, the come to Jesus meeting is, are you in it for the long haul? I'm telling you right now, if you actually believe in the PCAPs or stuff like that, or 6-degree polynomial, they have already conquered you. If you believe hand counting is going to fix the ballots, those ballots are still going to get there. It's not going to fix it. There's so much more that has to be fixed. And remember, what comes before the ballot? The voting rolls. That's the con, folks. That's the con. I'm going to hop over to my locals next. Let's have a conversation. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. You see it every day. You often wonder why, because you know a lot about the elections following me and where it's broke, why they amplify other people. And the pandemic normalized mail-in ballots. You got it. You got it. You now understand how this works. Remember, I'm going to hop over to locals next. Let's talk about what's going on behind the scenes. Make sure you share this. I love you all.
This crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.